Thank you. Good evening, everyone. When I was first invited to introduce this film, I was particularly enthusiastic because it rekindled memories of growing up in Bangalore in South India in the 1980s, when standalone cinema halls and communitarian film viewing experiences had not yet been subsumed by the corporate multiplex franchises. Original Copy is not solely a testament to the enduring resilience and artistic audacity of the film's irrepressible philosopher patriarch, Sheikh Rahman, the last purveyor of billboard-sized film posters. It is also a whimsical and nostalgic ode to Mumbai, a city whose singular subcultures, such as its iconic Irani cafes and single-screen cinema halls, such as Albert Talkies, which you will see in the film, are rapidly being devoured by rampant corporate urban expansion projects. The film's visual and narrative matrix will suspend you in a state of reverie, where Rahman's posters and the spatial contours of Albert Talkies are hyperlinks to multiple dimensions of time and space. The general milieu, the sensorial and auditory elements in the film all hark back to a bygone era of Indian cinema, and yet the film was released in 2015 and documents events occurring around 2012. But the film's retro-style aesthetic design catapults us back to the 1980s, the golden days of single-screen cinemas like Albert Talkies. In this context, this film is a bit of a time machine. It reminded me of the novel Time Shelter, where people seek solace from the travails of the present by ensconcing themselves in artificially constructed environments in time periods of their choice. So Original Copy is a similar key into the past. In terms of form and style, the narrative blends fly-on-the-wall observational documentary techniques with talking heads interviews, providing both contextual and specific insights into Rahman and his collaborators' creative process, as well as a penetrating portrait of the multi-textured lived experiences of the denizens of Albert Talkies. Interestingly, cinematography goes handheld in the cinema foyer, which is home to the cinema's drinks and snacks stall and the nerve center for animated exchanges between idiosyncratic characters. The materiality of celluloid-era film is palpable, with shots of film reels and the whirring and the clanking of the cinema's antiquated projector, which produces flickering and grainy images of kitschy Hindi action films, transforming the cinema into a modest empire of light for its exclusively working class and economically underprivileged patrons. In the film, Albert Talkies and its inhabitants could be regarded as an island within a larger island. So Mumbai is referred to historically as an island city. So when I interviewed the film director Kiran Rao for my first book on new independent Indian cinema, she spoke about the conceptualization of Mumbai for her indie film Dhobi Ghat. But I think her description is transposable to Original Copy as well. So she says, the city, Mumbai, is this universe, but each city having smaller universes that only the characters experience. So your Mumbai is quite different from the next person's. And it is possible for us to live in the same city and have completely different experiences of the same. The city gets its textures and layers because of all of these multiple experiences. All of this creates the multiple layered and still homogeneous whole. So the idea of the city as a palimpsest where human stories overwrite each other daily is symbolized in Original Copy through the layers of paint that Rahman and his comrades apply to their weekly wonders, the film posters that they paint over and over on the same backdrop. To me, Sheikh Rahman is reminiscent of the character Fernandez, played by Irfan Khan in Ritesh Batra's The Lunchbox. An aging Mumbaikar with an old-school sensibility, bewildered and overwhelmed by a city that is changing too fast. Akin to Fernandes, Rahman also takes comfort in nostalgic memories of cinema and in an India that used to be. The evocation of Mumbai as pinioned between past and present draws other similarities ranging from independent Indian films such as Ritesh Batra's Photograph, audience-based documentary The Cinema Travellers, and Meera Nair's Salam Bombay to Kiran Rao's Dhobi Ghat. It's also possible to draw and establish intertextual links to literary works set in Mumbai's or Bombay's underbelly, including Gregory David Roberts' Shantaram and Jeet Thayal's Narcopolis. There's a really powerful establishing shot in the film of the owner of Albert Talkies, Najma, throwing open the windows of the top floor of the cinema like a monarch surveying the outside realm from her filmic domain. This shot is particularly memorable, providing a panoramic perspective of the unrelenting roar of Mumbai traffic as modernity rolls on around this island of cinema, sinking slowly but still standing steadfastly resolute, a battling bastion against the ravages of time. Editing is used intuitively to illustrate commonalities between Rahman and his team and the cinema's upper echelons of management, when Najma pays tribute to her father as her mentor. This is followed by a cut to Rahman testifying to his own father being his role model and guru, while Rahman plays a similar role guiding his young acolyte artist Sunil, who Rahman states is like a son to him. In this context, the film cleverly blurs borders between upstairs and downstairs, even as it erases the boundary between high art and low art, whilst celebrating Rahman's artistic talents. Another striking aspect of this film is how multisensorial and immersive it is. You are likely to experience synesthesia, where film poster colors come to life alongside the smell of linseed oil and a tactile sense of the grit and the grime and the daily pantomime of the mock severe security guard as he goes through the motions of evicting the unofficial residents, the Albert Talkies irregulars, ranging from disillusioned dreamers chasing smack or low-grade heroin or foil strips at the cinema's doorstep, to sleep-ridden stragglers overstaying their welcome after the film credits have rolled. If ever there was an opium of the masses, then cinema plays this role in Albert Talkies and in India. For all the citizens of Albert Talkies, there is struggle, there is hardship, and a seemingly insurmountable battle for economic survival on a daily basis. Yet there is joy, there is emotion, there is solidarity, and a camaraderie that's forged through cinema, the common denominator and the tie that binds. As an armchair philosopher, Rahman is both Mephistopheles meets Pangloss, I think, whose everything will be all right in the end ethos is both humorous and uplifting. Ultimately, the bonds are forged by love for cinema, love for each other, and it's abundantly clear that Rahman relies on his creative compatriots to craft his magnificent posters. One of the film's poignant moments occurs when Rahman reveals that his sons see no value in his work. This is counterpoised, however, with his raging defiance to persist and to prevail against all odds. This reminded me of a similar struggle to foster intergenerational transfer of endangered and esoteric artistic cultural heritage in the case of the Pakistani folk jazz musicians in Shameen Obaid Shinoy's film Song of Lahore. In terms of composition, the motif of film frame capturing poster canvas frames is an interesting dialogic interplay between these two forms of the visual arts. So where does the frame end and where does the life environment of the Albert Talkies creative crew begin? Indeed, Rahman and his team work on their posters in a space directly behind the film screen, and in this bleeding through of film soundtrack and dialogue, there's a seamlessness, a borderlessness, invoking the inherent secularity of India, the ultimate melting pot. Rahman's posters are a portal into another time and space, an India of the past, on the brink of extinction and yet kept alive in this island within an island. In Albert Talkies, a slice of this India remains alive. With its multi-religious ensemble of Hindu and Muslim protagonists sharing space, the film reflects the unity in diversity constitutional principle currently under threat in a nation ruled by Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist BJP regime. In this sense, the film reflects the tenuous micro-level existence of Albert Talkies, but also at a macro level, the equally perilous state of India's multicultural and multi-religious social fabric. In creation mythology, it took 7 days to create the universe. In the cinematic microcosmos of Albert Talkies, Rahman and his band of artists accomplished this formidable feat of creating their gigantic, short-lived film poster masterpieces within a week. Ultimately, Albert Talkies illustrates the uniqueness of this space and its irrepressible sentinels. As you will discover, they are all unmistakably original. Enjoy the film.